Welcome back to Oscar's Garage. Got a great little show for you today. We're at West Huntspill for their classic and vintage vehicle show. We're just sort of southwest of Bristol in the UK. Great selection of cars here today. Jensen's Interceptor there, Ford Cortina Mark II, and of course over here we've got the Americana and the pre-war cars. So we're going to take a closer look at some of the vehicles here and particularly look at some of the interesting ones. And hopefully if you enjoy it, you'll like and subscribe. The Mini Moke has been in production since 1964, and wandering around classic car shows you often see examples. It's been produced all around the world, Australia, Portugal, France and so on. But we've come across this one and it's a little bit special, and to find out more we're going to have a chat with the owner, Tilly. Thanks for speaking to us, Tilly.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Now this looks very new and shiny for a Moke, so tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, it is technically 3.5 years old.
Okay.
It was built in 2000. The French manufacturer, my understanding is, made a decision to stop building new Mini Mokes in petrol.
Okay.
So if you want a Mini Moke going forward now, you can only buy it in electric. Okay. So to celebrate 56 years of the Mini Moke being around in various versions and built in various countries, they decided to build a limited edition of 56 Mini Mokes.
So that's from 64 through
From
to
64
2020.
to 2020,
Yeah.
That's right. This particular one, Hendy's are apparently Mini Moke dealers, or were, okay? And this particular one stayed in their showroom until March 23, unregistered, okay, because somebody had bought it, a very good client of theirs had bought it, didn't want it registered, so it kept in their showroom. My understanding is that Hendy's in Ringstone or Bournemouth, down there where it was, have now become Maserati dealerships, and I know they have because I've rang him to speak about the car.
That's quite a step up from the Mini Moke to Maserati.
It is,
it
is. Anyway, Maserati obviously didn't want the Moke in their showroom, so the owner had to take delivery of it and had to have it registered. My understanding is nowhere to keep it, whatever, and advertised it, and I bought it with 112 miles on the clock. It was about a month old, and it's now, I think it's got about 300 miles on the clock. I thought it would be interesting to keep it because I believe it's probably going to be the last registered Mini Moke that runs on petrol on the planet.
I think you're probably right, because I can't imagine
the other 55 that were built in 2020 not being registered.
You would imagine they've already found a home in one way or another.
It's got the plaque on there. Do you want to film the plaque?
Yeah, we can add that in.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting because when you look at it, it seems very true to the original. Obviously, they've had to evolve certain things.
Yes.
And there's a lot of cars nowadays, when you think of things like Fiat 500s and that really aren't true to their original form. But with the basicness of the interior, I think it's great. And it really actually sort of suits that heritage, doesn't it? And if this is the last petrol version, that's a great one for it to be.
It certainly does. Very little. Obviously, it comes with... Well, it doesn't come. I think the hood was an extra, so it's got the hood on it, but I've taken it off, for various reasons. But very, very similar. Maybe the wheels are a little bit posher. I think the original Moke had steel wheels, where these have got, the nice alloy wheels and everything else. But the shape is very similar. But this one, strangely enough, they put a gearbox on it now that you can drive it in automatic or manual.
You didn't get that on the original, did you?
You did not. You did not. There's a button on there that you press the button and it will switch from manual to automatic. I drive it in automatic when I've driven it because it's a lot less hassle. I think age has got something to do with it as well.
Well, this one's lovely, but we've also got another bit of loveliness that Tilly's brought along to the show. So we're going to walk over and have a look at that. Now we've got this little lovely that Tilly's brought along to the show as well, which now this really caught my eye. One reason is the colour,
of course,
and the other reason is it's a convertible, and this is a classic Capri,
console Capri, before the Capris came out. Yes.
And it is beautiful. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, I spotted this on one of the car auctions, classic car auctions, and one of the reasons I was attracted to it, first of all, when me and my wife got married in '72, I had one of these, and we actually drove on honeymoon with it.
What, a convertible?
Not a convertible, a coupe.
Okay.
Same colour, same engine, same sort of car, you know. And I spotted this and I thought, I love it, especially in the convertible. So I kind of bid for it and eventually won the bid. And I have to say I bought it because of the colour, because it kind of brought back memories to 1972 when we got married and things like that. And it's one that funny enough, I've been looking for a long time, but it had to be the right car. A lot of them are rubbish, in fairness, okay, the restoration.
Restoration-wise, this looks absolutely stunning. Everywhere I'm looking, I can't see anything
It was restored by a company called Cult Classics in London, and I've checked their website, and they restore, Ferraris, Bentleys, Rolls-Royce, and all of that. And I was informed that the restoration for this was well over £30,000, and I can believe it. It was. I've seen the photos. It was a complete bare shell restoration, and even if you look, it's all brand new bolts and the interior.
Tilly's just getting a drink. We're all right.
Okay. Complete nut and bolt. Underneath, it's just like on top. And totally clean and everything else. Yes, sorry.
Going on to the roof. This would have been a Crayford conversion.
It would have been, because to my knowledge, they were the people that had the license, if you want to put it that way, in the 60s and 70s, and they still actually exist now, Crayford, to do the conversion. And it had to be done right, because obviously cutting the roof off, you're going to lose a lot of strength. They clearly showed on the photos that it's got proper cross members to strengthen the body up and everything else. And it just drives lovely, absolutely lovely for, 60 years old coming up now,
It's beautiful, and the colour is glorious. The wheels suit it, and the roof colour. It's a real
and underneath car. It is just as good as on top, even in the boot. Do you want to? I don't know whether you.
He can come with us. Yeah. He loves it when I run around.
I mean, when they do a car up.
Oh wow!
I mean, look at that. It's.
That's better than the carpet in my living room.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
That is really impressive. So that has been an absolute joy, Tilly. Thank you for taking the time to show us round your two car, and the little A30 in the middle is yours as well. But
I rescued that off a friend of mine. Unfortunately, his wife's horse had died. She wanted to replace it. A little bit cash strapped with the way things are. So I said, I gave him some money and took it on. I'll tell you what, it's lovely. Yeah, it's just kind of weird and wonderful to drive.
No, it's brilliant.
I think it's 57, that one. And that's been reasonably done well. Yeah, it's nice.
Brilliant. Thanks for your
Well,
time.
thank you very much.
It's really
All the
appreciated,
best.
and I'm sure
I
people have
shall-
enjoyed that at home as well.
I'm sure we will.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As you know, here at Oscars, we like to bring you something slightly different. Now, you're going to wonder, why am I looking at this XJS? Because, you know, they're great cars, but they're also something that's a bit of a staple classic at these classic car shows. But this one is a little bit different because I've never seen an XJS where you can do that. This is absolutely incredible. I have seen this car before, and it's actually got the rear end from a Citroen Xantia. It's a Citroen Xantia tailgate and lights grafted in. It's got the original Jaguar bumper at the bottom, and it just looks fantastic. It's got the rear corners blended in. The owner has admitted there's a couple of little things that need doing, but I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I think it's a great car, and just something that's that little bit different, which is what we love to see here. As you know, at Oscars, we like the different, and this car here is really different, and it's almost a kit car, and as you know, I love kit cars. And this is a Siva, and it's based on an E93 Ford Popular, and very kindly, the owner here, Graham, has agreed to talk to us a little bit about it. Thank you for talking to us, Graham.
All right.
Now, you've just told me that this has got a really interesting backstory about how you first came across this car.
Well, yes. The first time I ever saw it, it was on the pier at Teignmouth in Devon, a tourist attraction, and I didn't take much notice. I realised it wasn't a genuine Ford, so I just walked away. Well, a few years later, my brother turned up with it. He'd bought it. He was going to restore it, and he never did. And I bought it off him. It was derelict. It had been standing outside for years and years. Apparently, the owner was going to make it into a hot rod, put a big engine in it and all that, but he never finished it, barely started even, and it stood there and deteriorated. And one day a man came to visit him and said, "Shame to leave that old car there spoiling. Why don't you let me have it? I'll restore it for you and sell it, and we go halves on whatever we get for it." So yeah, okay, let the man take it. Didn't hear anything for months. Went to visit the fellow, and he died apparently. And he had a number of cars there, and his brother had come along and sold the lot, including this one. Because this guy had lost his car then, he couldn't do anything about it. The car was sold, he couldn't get it back. So anyway, the car changed hands a couple of times, and it was advertised from a dealer in Cornwall, and therefore my brother bought it. And anyway, I bought it off my brother, and I slowly fixed it up. And I've been using it ever since. But at one of the shows, I ran into a fellow who said he used to own it, and he hired it to the film company for Doctor Who. This is the Doctor Who's Bessie. Apparently this is one of the cars they had on the film set.
And this is going back for, you know, and this will be one for the older readers here. We're going back to John Pertwee, aren't we?
Right, yeah, John Pertwee, yeah. It's one of the ones he actually drove on the film, like, you know. But that's more or less all I know. But I've had it ever since. I've had it nearly 30 years. I've done 50-odd thousand miles in it.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been all around Europe in it, you know.
Really? How far have you been?
Right down to Portugal and to Gibraltar.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. People, you'd look at a car like this and you think you might go sort of 50 miles from home, but you're going like 500 miles from home, and that's not you're not trailering it. You're
Yeah, it was two of us and a tent. That's all we had, and we just took off for the fun of it.
and over there on the continent, surely that must have attracted quite a crowd.
Oh yes, mainly Germans and Dutch. They were fascinated by it on the campsites. You know, they'd come around, well, you know, where you get a thing like this and all that. You know?
And did they think it was like an original sort of early 1900s car?
Yeah, a lot of them did, yes, yes. You had a job to explain that it wasn't that old at all, you know, but they didn't really understand, I don't think.
Because the one thing on these cars, which is the first thing I look at, and I saw, you know, from quite a distance, I knew what it was. I couldn't quite remember the name off the top of my head, but it's the wheel covers, which I think are really effective. Yeah. But yeah, when you look through them, you realise it's got 4 pop wheels behind it.
That's right. You're quite right. Yes, yes.
And under the bonnet, what have we got running under there?
Still got the side valve Ford engine, 1172 side valve. Like, yeah, same as it would have been. Yeah, yeah.
So, because effectively underneath, this is only actually a bit like some of the VW Beetle kits of the day. This is just a rebody. So we've got the original chassis under it.
That's right.
And original suspension, running gear, everything else, and it's literally just the body put on top.
Yeah, it doesn't affect the registration. It's still a Ford Popular. As simple as that. The logbook still says Ford Popular.
And so 30 years ownership and 50,000 miles, you do get some use out of it then.
Oh yeah, yeah. In the summer I drive it everywhere.
That's really impressive. I love this because not only it's got lovely patina about it, and it fools a lot of people, which is what kit cars quite a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But you get out and use it, and I think that's absolutely fantastic.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I was down Plymouth way yesterday, innit? Came here today, and tomorrow I'm going to Bridport and then doing a club run from there. I don't know where we'll go from there on.
So you're definitely getting your miles in on it.
Oh yes, yes. But only in the fine weather.
But that's brilliant. I really enjoyed talking to you about this one. So thank you so much for that, Graham. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.